Hello everyone and welcome back to my Guilty Gear Strive character overviews series, where I give in-depth overviews of every single character available to play as, and detail the most important things you'll want to know when playing as or against these characters. This is part 4 of an ongoing series of videos covering all characters released thus far, so if you haven't seen previous parts, check the eye on the top right or the description to see the first 5 characters we reviewed. Before we start, I'd like to make note that this video contains information accurate to Strive Season 3, so don't be worried about outdated info. Without further ado, let's look at GGST's Season Pass 1. Goldlewis is a lot of things. He's the Secretary of Defense for the United States of America. He's an alien denier, despite owning an alien himself. He's a cryptid believer, and most importantly, he's a big, big man, and he does big, big damage. Goldlewis is a character hyper-focused on offense. His damage numbers are insane. He deals heavy damage to you even on block. He brings an arsenal of tools to steal the neutral and skip right to his offense. And even if his mobility may be lacking, he is a big guy after all, he is more than gutsy enough to make up for it. Goldlewis's defining special move is Behemoth Typhoon. A half circle in any direction, anyone at all, will command Goldlewis to swing his heavy coffin in the direction you input, which launches a high-damaging, guard-crushing, soul-destroying slam that will be sure to beat your opponent into submission. Each BT has different properties and different uses, so let's quickly go through them all. 4-2-6 is a powerful forward blow that can bounce opponents off walls and grants plus frames. 6-2-4 is a frame trapping slam that is minus on block but has no escape point if used in a block string. 2-6-8 is very similar but plus and with shorter range and occasionally a small gap. 8-6-2 is a short range plus on block overhead. 4-8-6 is a slow, long range plus on block overhead. 6-8-4 is used to convert from pokes into hard knockdown to start Goldlewis's offense. 8-4-2 is a low that is plus on block, and 2-4-8 is a short range low that will side switch the opponent. Switching up your BTs to create plus frames, deal chip damage, and frame trap the opponent is the core of Goldlewis's offense, and mixed together with his normal attacks such as Far Slash and 5K that will keep the opponent in check, Goldlewis may very well be the scariest opponent to block in the game. Goldlewis's neutral is simple yet effective. He has a low crush in 5K, a long range plus on block 2P for checking dashes and non-disjointed pokes, a good range Far Slash, and some high profile options thanks to his incredibly short jump height such as JD. Goldlewis also has access to a no-nonsense, turn-stealing, damage-dealing, coffin-feeling Wild Assault that lets him mosey on by any attack and start swinging. Goldlewis's mobility is his true weakness. His dash is very slow, his jump startup is slowest in the game, he can't double jump, his air dash is slow, and his jump is very low to the ground. The only real benefit here is that his low jump lets him use air attacks low to the ground to make his offense and neutral scarier, but otherwise this can be a serious trouble for Goldlewis, especially on defense. Goldlewis's official title is the Secretary of Absolute Defense, but he might as well be called the Secretary of Absolutely No Defense, as his defensive options are quite poor, with jumping out of pressure as almost a complete non-option, and a decent but not character-defining 5-frame, a slow dash and slow normals, Goldlewis has one of the worst disadvantage states in the game, made better only by his high health. You might have noticed Goldlewis's secondary meter, but it might be better to think of this as more of a cooldown than something you have to manage. This is Goldlewis's security gauge, and it effectively puts a timer on some of his most powerful neutral skipping tools. At high level security, 2 of his special moves get powered up, Skyfish and Thunderbird. Skyfish is a long-range minigun shot that at higher security levels has more shots and knocks the opponent down, which is good for anti-zoning and stopping setup characters. Thunderbird is an abomination. This move is insane. Remember Potemkin's Gigantic High Super? This is that, but on a cooldown instead of costing meter. If Goldlewis just follows the drone across the screen, he is almost guaranteed to win neutral barring specific character interactions and extremely risky pokes into the drone to hit Goldlewis and destroy him. Options like these allow Goldlewis to consistently take his turn on offense despite his low mobility, and if he can get in just once or twice, he has everything he needs to win the round from that alone. If you wish to show your opponent some good old southern hospitality, and don't mind not being as quick as you used to be in the good old days, settle down with Goldlewis Dickinson, the secretary of an absolutely crushing offense.
Piping hot, popping like popcorn. Can you hear the bells ding dong? This is it, this is it.
Jacko Valentine is the sweets-loving girlfriend of Soul Bad Guy, but she's just as much of a nightmare on the battlefield as he is. Jacko fights by controlling her servants, small winged creatures that she can place, move around the screen, and command through use of her toolkit of very simple yet incredibly adaptable moves. Let's first focus on the cornerstone of her toolkit, her minions. Minions are tied to the minion gauge. Jacko needs to spend 1 bar of her gauge to summon a minion, which sounds simple as there's 3 chunks, but it's a little more complicated under the hood. You see, there are 2 colors of the minion gauge, yellow and gray. You need yellow gauge to summon a minion, and gray gauge can be used to command a minion. However, yellow gauge holds priority over gray gauge, meaning that if you have a full bar of yellow gauge, you can still command a minion, but it will take 1 chunk of both yellow and the gray gauge underneath it, whereas summoning a minion will leave the gray gauge beneath the yellow after doing so. Jacko tends to need to be able to gain space to set up her minions, as doing so in a block string or in neutral is disadvantageous, and after doing so she needs to take even more time to get said minion into a good spot before carrying it or launching it. Luckily, Jacko has extremely potent close-range pokes, such as her 2K, which is 6 frames, combos into hard knockdown consistently, has low profile, and is exceptionally hard to whiff punish. Jacko also has good tools to call out backdashes or people outspacing outside of her 2K, thanks to her momentum-shifting normals such as 2D and 5H. If Jacko wants to retreat, she can send an air fireball using her JD that has an incredible angle and usually lets Jacko gain enough plus frames to start a block string or set up a minion. Holding down the punch button after summoning a minion lets her hold on to the minion and reposition before dropping it with Dusk or throwing it. Doing the motion normally lets her set it down. After getting the minion in position, Jacko has to hit it with her normals to send it soaring through the air and hopefully at the opponent. Each of her different normals has a different trajectory she can send the minion on, such as a fast forward kick that destroys projectiles, an arcing bounce that covers the ground below her, an anti-air cannon that sends the minion into the stratosphere, and other angles that can be used to make her neutral very tricky. When Jacko gets a minion where she wants it, she has a few things she can do with it. Well, 2. You don't want to recall them because they get recalled, and you don't want to use this one. Just trust me, it's bad. Maybe worst move in the game bad. Don't use it. Anyways, Jacko has 2 things she can do to a minion once it's out: attack and defend. Attack command is a quick lollipop strike performed by the minion in the direction of the opponent that will launch for a combo on hit and leaves Jacko at a staggering plus 15 on block. This command is the cornerstone of Jacko's offensive capabilities. Being able to use minions to acquire plus frames on command lets Jacko set up for strike throw mix-ups, overheads, and more advanced setups that would usually take too much time to work. Jacko can also use the bounce of the servants to acquire these plus frames without having to spend meter upon doing so, making her pressure extremely adaptable depending on the status of your minion gauge. All of this makes her offense extremely potent, but Jacko also builds meter quickly and can use it on the Cheer Servant on H, an incredibly powerful super that lets Jacko perform a true block string to crank the opponent's risk and go for a mix-up if she has a minion out. All in all, with minions, Jacko's offense is very powerful, but without them, she struggles to take her turn. Usually Jacko needs a hit to set a minion, and with an incredibly simple set of frame traps that all end extremely minus on block, Jacko will usually need to try to get away with setting a minion in a block string or pulling one and running away in order to take her turn when making the opponent block. Her other command has a more defensive use. Defend command puts up a shield for a short duration that will parry incoming attacks and do a little bit of chip damage to boot. This is good for stopping an opponent trying to clear out the minions on the screen or deflect projectiles coming at Jacko and her minions. It is of utmost importance to use these tools properly in neutral, as if an attack connects with Jacko, block, or hit, all minions despawn, meaning she really needs to stay on top of making sure the screen is too threatening for the opponent to swing in, or she can come toppling down like a house of cards. If you don't mind running into a couple challenging matchups every now and then, Jacko's toolkit is incredibly rewarding to learn, as her minions make her incredibly comfortable playing anywhere on the screen, giving her a flowing gameplay that is unlike any other character in the game. If this sounds appealing to you, swear your allegiance to the minion army, and they will serve you for eternity.
Perfection can't please me.
There's no way you'll believe me when I say this, but I'm really hoping you guys win. Because I'd like to see you again.
Something I forgot about it in 2 seconds. That's about it.
Happy Chaos, the gunslinging, broken Messiah, is a resource character who has to manage 2 resources, his bullets and his concentration, in exchange for one of the absolute most powerful tools in all of fighting games. Chaos's core mechanic is his gun. Happy Chaos entirely lacks the heavy slash button, and upon pressing it, he will pull out his pistol. This spawns a reticle on the screen that will slowly try to track the opponent as they move across the screen. Pressing the H button again while this is happening shoots them, which spawns an instantaneous hitbox that will damage them through anything in the game, including walls that normally stop projectiles or even normal hitboxes. Keeping the gun out costs concentration, and every shot spends a chunk of concentration as well as a bullet, of which he can store 6. Because of this, keeping on top of resource management is key for Happy Chaos. Luckily, he has the tools and then some to keep his economy high. His steady aim special move focuses in his gunshot and lets him charge up an undodgeable shot with immense plus frames, allowing him to reload after each shot and keep his bullets up while walking the opponent in place. Or he can use these plus frames to run in and take his turn. Happy Chaos can also use Curse, a very powerful projectile that, again, can't be deflected, to make his reticle focus stronger. And yes, this includes during steady aim. If Happy Chaos runs low on concentration, he'll need to use his Focus special, which will recover some concentration and reduce the amount he spends per shot for a short duration. He usually needs a full targeted steady shot or a hit to do this, outside of spending another resource like Clone, which steals his HP to put a single hit wall in front of the opponent that is extremely risky to try to attack. All of this might paint the picture to you that Happy Chaos is a zoner who wants to shoot from afar, and while he can zone, especially to close out a round with a chip damage kill, his resources are so insanely powerful on offense, it's a waste to use them just to keep playing keep away. Happy Chaos's reticle always targets when the opponent is in block or hit stun, making it an on-demand plus frame button with absolutely zero startup, active, or recovery for Chaos. This means each bullet can be used for a completely safe and even plus on block mix-up, keep a block string going, and force the opponent to respect stuff that would otherwise be fake. Happy Chaos's dust attack is very short range, but thanks to Gunshot, it's one of the scariest dusts in the game due to his ability to get a full combo off of it, and his roll special move is a 16, you heard me right, 16 frame cross-up that combos into a hard knockdown for him to get his bullets back on hit, is safe on block, and can only be countered by committing to a throw in the middle of Happy Chaos's offense. Chaos probably has the best conversions in the game. Again, thanks to the gun, he can fire a shot after landing something small like a 2P, and then pick up into a combo reminiscent of a different character's counter-hit combo. Chaos can easily corner-to-corner you with a single light hit provided he has the resources, and his smaller combos can go resource neutral as well, making him absolutely terrifying to get hit by, made even worse by his positive bonus state being extremely threatening thanks to it letting him RC to gain more resources on block more often than continue pressure. Both of Chaos's supers also allow him to fix management mistakes, as his Deus Ex Machina super reloads all his bullets, and his super focus not only leaves him plus on activation when cancelled from a normal, but fills up his focus bar and buffs his focus spending as well. So far, Chaos is a menace on offense and has the ability to turn any hit or block into a huge opportunity, so naturally his pokes should be on the weaker side, right? Nope. Happy Chaos has some of the best normals in the game, sporting a best-in-class 2K with very fast, long, and low profile. A powerful and hard-to-whiff punish 2S, a strong tool to catch backdash such as Success, and a strong and reliable neutral check in Far Slash. All of these pokes are strong on their own, but combined with each other, the ability to convert every single one of them into a wall break or knockdown anywhere on the screen, powerful disengagement tools like Curse, and a quick reaction check for plus frames by using steady aim, Happy Chaos truly has some of the most fearsome neutral in the game. On defenses where Chaos is the most threatened, Happy Chaos lacks an invincible reversal entirely, and while his YRC affords him some of the strongest momentum shifting, thanks to it allowing him to get his full offensive potential without any setup, the opponent could look out for YRC and either bait it or burst Happy Chaos once he takes out the gun to start his pressure, as he cannot block while holding the gun out. If you're able to manage resources properly, it's hard not to admit that Happy Chaos is easily one of, if not the strongest character in the game. While he can be challenging to play and punishing to make mistakes as, he excels at almost everything he does, and his bullet mechanic allows him to have immensely powerful, creative, and adaptive gameplay that can't be rivaled by any other character. If you don't mind having to focus up every now and then in order to play optimally, and love riddling your opponent with bullet after bullet, take a ride with Happy Chaos.
I've wandered around for 20 years. What's one more trip? You're the only person who could ever talk me out of my revenge. By this time, you know my answer.
お頼み申す。お頼み申す。卒じながら冥府はいずこ。外道が笑えば神がなり。所業にがちなり方あれば魔道の始末を請け負い。この世は美容の三品三指導死に花無用の
Baiken is an unfaltering samurai warrior driven by anger and revenge, and her playstyle certainly suits these character traits. Baiken is a character defined by simple yet incredibly effective options like easy looping mix-ups, a matchup-defining parry, great mid-range normals, and high-damaging options from her larger hits. Baiken's round start is immensely powerful thanks to her Far Slash, which is likely the best round start in the game due to its 9-frame startup, it reaching from round start, being incredibly challenging to whiff punish, and allowing her to combo on counter hit into the start of her looping mix-up game. When Baiken lands a hit such as this, she's afforded the ability to start with a simple high-low by IADing and pressing an air normal into either her air stalling special move Yozansen, or simply landing and doing a low. After this, she can apply even more threatening offense through use of high damage Gatlings with multiple frame trap opportunities thanks to attacks like her 6K, Tatami Gaish, and H Kabari. Baiken also has a very powerful reset in S Kabari, which pulls the opponent closer to her, leaves her at +2 on block, and most importantly, tethers the opponent. Baiken's tether mechanic is a cornerstone of her offense and makes it so opponents can't escape arm's reach of Baiken, letting her extend block strings for longer, perform combos that would otherwise be impossible, and on knockdown perform looping 4-way mix that is completely safe on block and comboable on hit. Baiken's offense extends even further when you consider how effective her strike throw is due to her throw tethering the opponent on connect and immediately allowing her to start her looping mix. And if that wasn't strong enough, Baiken also has instant overhead low 50/50s off any jump cancelable normal thanks to TK Yozansen, an instantaneous overhead that, while punishable on block, forces the opponent to guess as there is absolutely no window to react at all. And if Baiken has 50 meter, she's plus after the mix-up is blocked and gets a full combo on hit. Baiken can absolutely maul you on offense, but returning to neutral certainly isn't the end of the world for her. While it's true that Baiken has short-range pokes and very low mobility, she also has some of the best air normals in the game thanks to her JS being incredibly quick and large, JH crushing 6Ps, and all of these being safe on block from any height thanks to the ability to cancel into Yozansen to keep herself from being throw punished, and usually plus on block to boot. Baiken's close-range pokes, such as her jab, far slash, and 2S are all incredible normals, with the caveat that without meter or a counter hit, she's unlikely to get a combo from them. Baiken has slower but serviceable tools to use from a range in neutrals, such as the incredibly disjointed H Kabari, which on block can let Baiken force a guess between a frame-trapping follow-up or simply stealing her turn and starting offense. Baiken also has a powerful low-profile 2H that is great at catching backdashes and low-profiling certain mid-attacks. However, both of these tools have exceptionally high whiff recovery, so it's important not to use them too often. That being said, if you do use them too often and get punished, Baiken has some of the best defensive options in the entire game. Baiken has a fully comboable 4-frame that lets her get soft knockdowns on normal hit, noticeably higher health than all other lightweight characters, a versatile reversal super, and the character-defining parry, Hiragi. Hiragi is a counter with frame 1 activation and 7 frames of parry window that deals massive damage on connect, as well as gives Baiken Oki, letting her start her incredibly potent offense, on top of dealing a huge chunk of damage to the enemy's life bar. This is a parry and not a DP, meaning it beats safe jumps, which makes it even more powerful, but will lose to projectiles and won't get the full connect if a long enough disjoint hits it. Baiken struggles with defensive play more than the average character due to her dash speed being second slowest in the game, Goldlewis being the only character slower, and her pokes being noticeably short range compared to other normals. But her offensive and defensive traits are so powerful that Baiken doesn't even need to be able to win neutral most games in order to start her offense, thanks to her uncanny ability to win just from blocking. If you want to put fear into your opponent's heart on both your offense and their offense, enjoy frustrating them with high damage options and looping mix-ups, and don't mind having to play a slower paced neutral, embody your anger and slash through the competition with Baiken.
仇討ち是非なし阿炎に天の方正義成敗お上の何とぞよしなに閻魔何とぞよしなに閻魔殿
The elegant Grim Reaper Testament joins Guilty Gear Strive's roster as the final character in Season Pass 1, and brings with them a powerful assortment of dominating neutral tools that can be used to keep the opponent slamming their head into a brick wall of projectiles, normals, safe mix-ups, and more. Testament's neutral is defined by access to a lot of screen states thanks to how their projectiles work. Usually Testament needs to follow a semi-rhythmic pattern in order to start the flow of their neutral after escaping round start. Round start itself isn't an issue thanks to strong tools such as 2K, Far Slash, 2S, and 5K, and after gaining some space or making the opponent block, Testament can use their Grave Reaper special move to put a strong projectile on the screen. This projectile can be charged to make it last longer on the screen, as well as be angled upwards to catch anyone trying to jump in at Testament, and it has quite low recovery for a projectile, being 100% unpunishable if blocked from a close range. This fireball also has a swinging attack before it that destroys other projectiles, lending Testament well to counter to it. It can also be used in the air and is more advantageous when used this way, encouraging Testament to mix up fireball options while zoning. After Grave Reaper spawns and disappears, one of Testament's succubi will spawn and linger where it left. This succubus can be used in two ways. Normally, Testament will want to send Unholy Diver, which will automatically target the succubus and send Testament's Pro Familiar to its location. This is a single hit, advantageous on block projectile that puts the opponent into the Stain state on hit or block, which is Testament's big win condition. When the opponent is stained, they will stay that way until a certain amount of time has passed or Testament gets hit. And if Testament hits the opponent with any move other than their projectiles, the Stain will activate a powerful hitbox that makes whatever was just used plus on block and comboable on hit. This turns Testament's already daunting neutral into a minefield where any single hit can lead to a full combo and knockdown no matter what button was used to get there. And while activating Stain on block isn't as powerful, Testament has simple yet safe and effective pressure to make it a situation worth hoarding. On offense, Testament has a few tricks up their sleeve they can use to keep the opponent guessing. H Grave Reaper is plus on block, and so is a charged S Grave Reaper, and both of these options can be easily stringed into from Testament's 2H, a vacuuming low with high block stun. This can loop for as long as you choose to remain passive, as Testament can then use Grave Reaper to call on Holy Diver, activate the Stain, set the projectile back up, and start again. In order for the opponent to escape, they must either FD Testament out and escape by ground or air, or directly challenge gaps in this pressure with 6P. This is Testament's main difficulty on offense, as to reloop this offense they need to press buttons that could be 6P'd or leave considerably large matchable gaps. But this is simply RPS that the opponent, and by extension Testament themselves, needs to respect. Testament's offense is a bit stronger after a knockdown, as they can start with an IAD mix-up that forces the opponent to guess high or low and is comboable on hit and safe on block. When forcing block strikes from a mid to long range, Testament can use Arbiter Sign to check dashes as well as mix up a stationary opponent thanks to the ability to call either a low or overhead version of this move. But this cannot be used in up-close offense frequently due to the fact that it has both a minimum and maximum range that it must be used inside to hit the opponent. Back to neutral, when they're on the back foot, Testament has a number of strong tools they can use to shift the tides. The second thing they can do with the succubi on screen is a quick teleport to its location that can get Testament out of a sticky situation and can also be feinted to confuse the opponent. Testament also has one of the strongest 6Bs in the game to counter an opponent who gets too aggressive in the air, and Testament themselves has some incredibly powerful air options thanks to the ability to use a majority of their specials in the air, as well as having a powerful JH that beats 6Bs similar to Baiken's JH, and a JK with a strong cross-up hitbox best used for IADing over somebody's head and safely escaping out of the corner or similarly scary screen space. Testament's defense is nothing to write home about. They have a standard 5-frame, no meterless reversal, and a slow metered reversal that pretty much requires the use of the super PRC tech to be effective thanks to its ability to be safe jumped by almost every character in the roster. Their only other weakness is a lower than average mobility and no movement oriented special moves to speak of, but their dominant neutral moves is more than enough to make this hardly noticeable. If you don't mind having to rely on playing neutral for 99% of the game due to the lack of a strong dominating win con or exceptional defense, but really enjoy making the opponent frustrated while losing said neutral over and over again, then running simple yet safe offense to deal some damage before making them try again, then you and Testament might get along quite well.
そろそろ一息入れよう。あなたも一杯いかがかな。